make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thursday, May 25th. Yeah. The minutes from April 20th and the minutes of May 4th, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of
I'll second it.
April 20th and May 4th.
Seconded by John. All in favor?
Aye.
No email, no appointments. Here we go. First thing is the FY '23 revenue update.
Yes, so the month isn't over, but I put the sheet out in front of you. The forecast is for roughly 201, and we currently are at, midday today, we're at 211, so we've already surpassed our forecast. If you check on the bottom of that sheet, last May we did 262. Currently, we're 7% ahead of last year's number at this point, day to day. If weather cooperates, we've got a very booked tee sheet for the holiday weekend, and we could have a very strong finish for this month. We're basically sold out for tomorrow was pretty much sold out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday I have a couple times open, and Monday I have a few times open left still, but not many. So it looks, if the weather's good, knock on wood, we should do all right for this month.
So we should pass the revenue, right?
Yes, yep. Yeah, we're already ahead of our forecast. I'm just, I'm competing against last May at this point, so we'll see where we fall.
We're roughly 200,000 ahead of plan, and 33,000 behind last year.
Yeah, and we did have more weather this year on the weekends, as we stated at the last meeting, but the demand, and you see it on Fridays when you come. Fridays have been blockbuster, and Wednesdays are doing well as too. And part of the reason for the Wednesday and Friday increases are basically those days are the only days that we have one league. So I can run the sheet the whole day right up until the league. We don't have to stop because we're going off both sides. Therefore, that allows us to manage that tee sheet a little bit more. So if we can get in more players, we put in more players and we ride it up right up to the start of the leagues. So that's why you're seeing Wednesday's numbers are fairly strong if the weather's good, and Fridays have been blockbuster. They've been really big days. I think by the time Ed's league comes, the place is packed, absolutely packed, and then they're booked even behind his group up until the 4 o'clock league, and I think Isaac even tries to put in a few after that 4 to 4:30, 5 o'clock. He might put a few more bodies out even after that. So as the days get longer, we can add rounds at the end after the leagues. Currently, there isn't enough time because we're ushering them off the course to get out of there before dark at this point. So we're doing the best we can, with daylight and weather.
That's good. Any other questions on the revenue? National Golf Foundation status. So they had signed a contract to put together, sent it back to me. I forwarded it to Jamie Kelly. So he's going to review it the next day or two, make sure that it's okay for the town to sign off on it, and then we'll be able to let them know we're official good to go and start that process.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have to start with a list of historical data that they'll want to see and come up here on site a few times.
Will they put a schedule together?
Yes,
When it will start?
yes, once they know that they can have everything signed and they can start, they'll put together a preliminary schedule of when. But one thing he did, the guy, Mr. Singer, said that they're also doing the same thing for another course down the Cape right around now too. So just to save themselves on flights of going back and forth from Florida, try to schedule them the two around the same time for the on-site stuff.
Do we get a break for that? Less expenses, right?
Maybe.
No, he's spending it on first class plane seats.
they be?
We gotta think all angles, eh?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Will they be
Yeah.
asking for a list of things we need to provide for them?
Yes, he said that they have a list of things that they'll be looking for, is a lot of, starting off with a lot of historical data like sales, rounds, things like that, which this type of stuff that we have is good. I'm sure it goes back as far as they want to see it. And then they're also gonna want to know whether they have this, things that they will look at, but they also want to know from our perspective, you know, are there specific things we want them to specifically give us an opinion on, whether it's in infrastructure, whether it's equipment, whether it's T-sheet pricing, spacing, anything. Like, they look at all those, but if we have certain things we certainly want them to make sure they look at, we can chime in at the same time when they give us the list of what they propose.
So
to
they're
start
gonna be
with.
able to coordinate that for timing to make sure Dana and Steve have, understand what they need to get prepared for it.
Yeah. Yeah, they said that they'll send up that probably like a couple weeks before they would plan to show up on site, to give us
Okay.
time to go through their list.
So we get a
And have time to look at it. So it's not, hey, we'll be on site tomorrow, and you've had one
Right.
day to look for what they're looking for, so give us time.
It's not like when Club Car wants to drop off golf carts, just drop them off.
Hopefully not. Hopefully they don't want to come on the hottest day in July or August.
Yeah, really. I doubt it.
So at least that's still moving along. Hopefully we'll be starting that soon. So cart surface repair recommendation. I know we've talked about it a couple of times, and really whether we think of the $90 per cart, whatever that fee was, is worth it for what they would propose. And one thing that stuck with me, Steve, is like you said, they come twice a month, right? When you say it was the entire fleet of 144 cars, so they gotta have time to even look at 72 at a time each time they come. And
It's one guy,
so are we going,
right?
I think that we would probably leave it up to your opinion as to whether you think it's a value for what you think you would get out of them for that.
Well, from what he, I think I said this last time, but the way he explained it to me was that the preventative maintenance that will take place will hopefully reduce the amount of carts that go into service, for the need for them to come. So part of that, the inclusion of visits and labor hours of the repairs are in that contract. The parts are the only thing that are outstanding of the contract that you would have to pay in addition to, is my understanding. But if we did a partial, the way that it was explained to me, did I say this at the last meeting, or did I just say this ad hoc to I think I explained it to somebody on the committee, but anyhow, if you do a partial contract with them, you're gonna have a cart that's not covered in that contract, that's gonna be sitting there when they come to do the service on the coverage carts. So they're gonna hit you with the visit fee for $250, and then the labor hours to fix that cart. So he said that's not gonna be beneficial if you do the program in that way. The best way to do it is to do the full cart service contract, check it out, put all the carts under contract and have them service them on a regular basis, and hopefully that minimizes the amount of times that they actually have to come to fix carts when we call.
I got a question about that. Now, because these things break down so many times, and there's more than one golf course besides us that actually own these kind of carts, the process of getting that guy, there, and doing what he needs to do is far and few in between.
Well,
Right?
Listen, I will vouch on behalf of them when we've had instances where we called them because we had an old colony or a firefighters event, and we had 6 or 8 cots down, or 14, or whatever the number may be. On those dire straight times, they were there and they got it done. So that I could speak to. As far as how this will play out, I can't speak to it because we haven't done it since I've been here.
Yeah, well,
Is it come scheduled? Is there a
So
schedule or you have to call them?
They have, I think it was 2 times a month was the contracted, but they will come on call when you have
Is
cars.
that an extra charge? when
There
you
is
have to
no
call?
extra charge, it's part of the contract agreement.
So when we have a situation with we got a tournament coming up and we got 5 carts down.
They come.
You call, they come.
They're in Wareham, and they say that they'll be here to fix them.
Is
That's
there-
the proposed program.
And what do they charge for that?
That there is no on-call charge with the contracted.
So we have no have had no contract.
It's, what was it, 250 is the visit
I don't know,
fee?
I haven't,
I think it was 225 or 250 for a visit call.
we haven't had an
Plus
increase in a
parts,
while,
right?
so.
Plus parts, plus labor.
Oh, they charge you for labor too, how many hours a year?
However many it takes to fix it.
What did we get from them? We didn't get anything on the contract then.
No,
I
under
mean,
the
the
contract,
contract-
you don't pay anything for the labor and the visit. You pay for parts.
So what is the recommendation? Have you and Steve talked about and said this is the best way to do it?
Well, I have an opinion that we should try it, but
I think you
I'm not
should-
sure how Steve
I think you
feels
try
about-
it, I mean, the minimal things, I mean, you know, flat tires, batteries, I mean, we don't have any problem, you know, turning those things around, no
Right.
problem.
The
But, you know,
dead
when you
carts?
have, you know, dead carts where you have to get a starter generator, well, we can't fix those, so we send them out and get them rebuilt,
Right,
and we get one put in.
right.
I mean, you just paid you got a bill in there for $397 for 2 starter generators and a couple of carts. So, I mean, the larger issues where we don't have time to spend, or have to order the parts from them anyway, that would be helpful. But, you know, like I said, we can handle the, you know, there's no need for us to call them for a flat tire because we can fix a flat tire. If it's a dead battery, we can replace a dead battery, you know, so on. But the major, I mean, I think for your, you know, I would look at doing that maintenance contract and, you know, get into it, see how it works out. If you don't like it, you can always end it.
Is there a time lot? Do you have to do it for a year or?
Yeah, you have to
1 year.
commit to the year.
All right, what's it? I don't know what's the cost.
It was, I think I calculated last time, it was like 73 or 7,500. It was,
We agreed to do 40 carts for $95. We put a motion through to that effect.
Yeah,
right.
that was
So,
a-
so in discussion, we haven't made a move on that, because in speaking with him, he said that you're not gonna like that plan, because
Right.
it's not gonna work out
So
for you.
now you're recommending that we do the 95 for the 70.
If, I'm saying if you're going to do a service contract, you would want to do them all and don't do a parcel, because.
So your recommendation that we do $95 for the full fleet for a year.
If you want to do the service contract, you would do all of the cars.
Yeah, if you're doing 74 carts and it's a 95 cart, it's $7,030 for an entire year. Whether or not you want to, you
Does
know.
this make you guys, your lives easier or worse?
Well, I think you're going to have to test it. To be quite, I'll give you an example. Say you have 3 or 4 carts parked out in front of your. Say we had 3 or 4 carts or 5 carts parked out in front of my building yesterday morning.
Right.
Yesterday morning, about 10 o'clock, the gear motor in the right rear tire of my Smithco sprayer let go.
Yep.
So $1,260 repair that I have to get the parts for, and that sprayer is coming before any of those carts lined up outside.
And we
So-
stated this prior to this meeting, is the priority is always our
Right.
equipment first, the golf course first, carts our last priority.
So what is your recommendation?
The recommendation is to take $95 per cart for the carts that you have in stock that you want to service, 74 carts, which is $7,000 a pop. We try it for a year. If it works out good for us, we're good. If we don't like it, then we go back to Plan B or come up with Plan B.
We're 200,000 ahead of plan. So I said, let's do it.
I agree. I agree, as long as the guy, they hold to their word.
Well, see, that's the thing. You're gonna have. You'll find out.
We're gonna test that.
That's what these
Yeah.
guys need to do.
We have to.
Yes, if they hold
We
to their
never know
word,
unless
that's
we
right.
test them, right?
But, you know, if you have 5 carts down on a Thursday and you need them for Saturday, and this guy doesn't show up until
Right.
Monday,
Listen,
Right?
John, you know me well enough.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy until I'm not a nice guy. I know when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
well,
Yeah, we'll
But
call
I can
them
be as
and bug
ugly
them
as the
and
next
bug them
guy
and
when
bug
I have to be.
Yeah.
And trust me, you don't want to be on the other side of it.
And the other thing I would tell them is, listen, I said, we got 5 carts down, we've got an outing this weekend. If you can't get somebody over here to fix them, send me 5 carts
That's
to
right.
replace them.
Is that in that by
I
any
don't know.
chance?
I would guess not.
I would guess not either.
But that's what, that would be my ultimatum to them.
But that's what we throw at it.
Paying you $7,000, and you can't get your guy here, and part of your bargain was to get the guy here. Now I need the vehicles. I mean, you got a whole slew of them sitting
He's,
behind the building.
stated that they would be committed to getting it done. That was spoken as of this last week when we'll go over this other situation, when he and I met with Jamie to
Make sure you
discuss
get it
that.
in writing.
I got one last question here.
Yeah.
Suppose the guy shows up, you got 5 carts down, he has to go through a diagnostic thing, right?
Mm-hmm, probably.
All of a
Yeah.
sudden, he tells you, I don't have the parts. Then what?
I would
Well, we're in the
we'll
same
make it.
situation, whether
Hey.
he's doing it or
If he doesn't have the parts, they gotta,
But he
my
won't
thought
know
is
that
they have
until
to
he
come up
looks at
with
him, right?
something. Well, he's not going to know that until he,
Look
for that particular cart.
Right.
But in general, I would assume that they have, over a period of time, a history that tells them which parts go out more often than
Right.
not, and they would think that they would have
Have them
those in
stocked.
stock.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the
All
way
right.
people stock things these days is, who knows?
Yes.
You may have one in stock where you used to have 5 or 6.
I mean, I'm all for it with that, as long as it holds its value.
Guess we
You never know
until
unless
we
you try.
Well, we're gonna have to try
That's the
it.
point.
So let's just try it for a year and see how it goes. We'll take an official motion is to edit our previous motion to do it for the whole fleet for 1 year.
Yeah, $95 service contract for the full fleet for 1 year.
Ed made that motion. Manny-
Sure, I'll
Manny
make the
seconds
motion.
it. All in favor?
Aye.
I will contact him right after the meeting and get this in process. And I will also inquire about that situation.
Just curious.
Then we have car replacements. I know we had talked just a little bit about
Yeah.
with this and the history of these cars and how they're in overall maybe not as reliable as they used to be, and the new cars are the same engine as the ones that you've expressed are
Mhm.
not as good as they used to be. So I guess it was really just, like saying you always bought a Ford, but if you get 3 Fords in a row you didn't like, you gotta buy a 4th one. So do we wanna entertain something else, or are you guys comfortable with sticking with this vendor, or?
So after our last meeting, I had given it some thought, and you guys play some golf all over the world, all over the country, different states. When have you gone to a reputable golf course and seen 2 different vendors in their fleet of carts?
Never.
And that's my concern, is the perception of the business that we've built to hosting 144 player shotguns, and then they come up to our facility and they see half the carts Yamaha and half the carts club car, or 3/4 of the carts club car and a quarter of the carts Yamaha. My concern is if we want to do this and leave them, we would move forward, get all these carts onto a program where when we do the dollar buyout, we're done with them and we move them all over to another vendor. That's what I would suggest, just for the way the business is, the customer's perception is how your business is viewed in their eyes and what they think of the operation. It wouldn't look like a well-run, well-managed facility if we had 2 different style carts and vendors. And then I have done some research with regards to Yamaha, and I've come across the owner, the father had passed away, so now it's the 2 sons that are running the business, and now might not be a good time to jump into that situation.
What do we got left on that cot agreement?
Well, we just getting the 20 for this year, and that's going out till 2020. Was it 2028?
No, it can't be that one.
2027? 2027.
24.
Oh, okay.
It'll go all the way out. It'll be FY '24 budget first.
No, I mean, when does it end? That when we get this batch of
5 years.
20 carts, it's 5 years, so 2027. is when this last group will mature, and you'll get the $1 buyout in 2027. And that can kind of lead me into the discussion that I had this week with Jamie and Club Car that I guess transpired. Were you familiar with the?
I am now.
Were you familiar prior to?
No.
All right, so I guess somewhere down the lines, Brian Noble made a decision and he refinanced our carts without discussing it with us or even mentioning it to the sales rep, because he wasn't aware of it, because the paperwork he gave me, he goes, I don't set up my documents like this, so he must have called our accounting department and went right through them, but he extended some of our carts into additional lease terms. So I have copies of those documentations. I'll present to Ed and we can review what we've got.
So
Why don't we
situation
run
was,
the whole thing?
situation was in 2017, we thought we were going to enter a 5-year lease for 60 carts.
Mhm.
And it turns out we were not authorized to issue selectmen weren't authorized to issue a 5-year lease. So we did a 3-year lease with a balloon payment.
Yeah,
When the balloon payment came due after 3 years, Mr. Noble asked me what we should do. I said, we should try to roll it again and pay off the balloon payment in annual payments.
Mhm.
So they tied it back to the original cart lease.
Mhm.
So the last payment in that 3-year lease was $39,000.
Yep.
And so they rolled that in with a balloon payment, which was $77,000. We came up with a new 3-year rolling lease of $29,000.
Right.
To pay everything off. But as of that, we still don't own any of those carts.
Correct. So
Until the final payment.
right.
Final payment is July 1.
Yes.
So I talked to Nick and Todd about that yesterday when they brought it to my attention. I said, well, my suggestion is take delivery July 1
Mm-hmm.
of the 20 cards and we're clean.
Right. So that's what we explained to Jamie. Nothing changes as long as we wait until July 1
Right.
and the carts come, then everything is clean. We own them for the $1 buyout and everything can move forward as such.
So they can deliver the 20 cards.
Correct. Which, and I was saying, as far as our operation, whether we get them June 15th or July 1, it really.
Well, if you enter a service agreement now,
Mhm.
if we have any issues with those cards, they'll be covered to repair them
Sure.
anyway.
So that was a little complicated situation that he wasn't aware of, and I think slipped under our radar. But coincidentally, sounds a little bit complicated, but it plays out July 1 and everything's clean and it's no issues.
Do
So
we want the service contract to start July 1 so it doesn't cross over a budget year, because you have problems with bill payment and stuff if it starts June 1st, then
Is
your
that
last.
a monthly payment or?
Or is it yearly?
I'm not sure, but I can find out.
Either way.
Yeah, you just
I
encumber
started
funds,
now
but it's just more of a
because
bookkeeping mess.
if it's 7,000, we can cover that.
Yeah. All right.
Complications, big one.
So now the recommendation is to go forward with 40 new carts.
40? 20.
The 20, right?
Yeah, we got to 20.
The 20 for this year?
That leaves us with 40 of the 2017 carts.
Right.
So we need to put an order in with Club Card for those 40 additional carts.
Right.
So we can get them
All
as soon
together.
as we can.
Yep. And he did state that as of right now, the earlier you get your orders in,
Right.
the more timely the deliveries are that they can commit to. So
So
if
your-
that's what the decision is,
So your recommendations to move
I would,
forward?
yeah, I would, listen, they've been a good vendor to us. They've done everything that we've ever needed them to do. If this service thing is an issue, I'd say let's be loyal, give it a chance, see if we can work through that issue. and move forward. And then if that doesn't work out, by all means, you had your chance, you dropped the ball. When this is all said and done, we cut ties and we go somewhere else, that's all. And hopefully, by the time we get there, those guys have worked through their issues and are on board with their program.
Was Jay able to authorize the pre-ordering the last time?
He did, he signed the paperwork for this one, for the 20 that we have coming.
Right, so he did that before, so he can do it again
Mhm.
for the 4th.
Yes.
So he'll take care of it. See how it goes.
I can see that. The other thought I did have after the last meeting was even like for the maintenance that we do in-house, right, if there are common things that you would get that might not be the same across two manufacturers. If you're used to doing X part in-house, well, then you always have that on the shelf instead of 2 times with X part, because if one's a Yamaha, one's a
Correct.
car.
That would be, an
So,
added level of headaches
consistent.
for us to repair 2 sets of vendors' cots and pots.
Maybe if in a few years, if we're in a position that we thought we'd want to switch to electric carts, maybe that's the time we just get out of
Maybe
everything,
do
get out
some
of
more
everything all at
shopping.
once and shop it
We've
around.
got 40 left of the 2017s.
And now what kind of cars?
They're all, right now, they're all club car, but they're different years.
Okay.
So they have different styles, different part numbers for.
So right now, we
certain
have
parts.
60 of the 2017.
Sorry,
And
60
July
of
1 will have
2017.
40.
Yes, sorry.
All right, so we just-
And Steve was gonna identify the 12.
That must go.
Now, there was some reference when I spoke to Norm and Steve that there were 2 2003 carts.
We have the Green Hornet.
No, these
No, it's not
weren't
Oh,
that,
no.
they're,
2013 or something.
I'd have to look at my,
It sounds like that when, the last time they dropped it off, it was a rush, and they grabbed
they grabbed, the guy,
carts, but not the oldest carts. So
He
we
didn't
just need
grab
to
them.
make sure we correct. Because one of the cars sounds like, sounds like a bulldozer. They had no windshield, they had mufflers going on. It was like-
I thought we had decided we were going to put the cards aside
Right.
for them to take it.
Yeah, but that was when they didn't tell us they were coming, and they just popped up. And next thing you know, things are loaded up on the flatbed, and they drop off the cots, and the guy rolls out. I mean, you know how these guys are. When they drop off food deliveries, bang, 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 they're in and out, and you're like, what just hit me? Where's the paperwork? So, everybody's on a time schedule and being managed by Big Brother. You were at that stop 20 minutes.
If you had all the cards in the pen and they were locked, they could not take them without asking you, where's the cards? And you tell them, that one, that one, that one, that one.
They have keys, they're club car.
Well, we changed it. It's only a lock. I've donated the lock.
yeah, we have, like I said, we have 60 carts that were delivered the 15th of August, 2017, which is a presidential model. And we have 18 carts that were delivered, or, no, not 18, 14 carts delivered 18
Right,
August
yep.
2021, which were Tiempos. You have a beverage cart,
2 2013s, you said?
what's that?
We have 2 2013s that need to go back?
There are 2 in that mix somewhere, I believe. I have to pull those off because they're not, well, we have the silverback utility vehicles, but those are old ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the Carry-All 300 gas, which is a 2021 model, and then the beverage cart. So I'll have Norm pull the cart number on those so we can make sure we have those ready to go, because all my these are all SL numbers. It would be a different number if it was from that date.
The important thing is just making sure they take the ones away that we want.
Absolutely.
So, point of sale status, I know we've talked a little bit about that. I talked to Jamie real quickly about it. We're still kind of waiting for Golf Now to
Yes.
have like an online meeting or
They,
something.
I just touched base with them probably about a half hour before the meeting finally. Our rep is on funeral leave and is out of state, and she's going to try and commit to a day next week to either Zoom a meeting with Jamie and myself, and if anyone's interested in participating, they're more than welcome to join us. But we will solidify that date. I gotta check with Tanya to get Jamie's schedule and see if I can get that solidified. But up until now, one, I was on hold because Jamie was gonna have the current contract reviewed by town council, and I still haven't even heard if that was a valid form of contract. And, but he did say to reach out and get this scheduled, so we're moving forward with that currently.
This current thinking is that we should stay with Golf Now.
I think for this season, given that we're fully into the season now and trying to change something like that midstream, that's something where like July 1 doesn't really follow our schedule. And I also think that in all three of the vendors that we had talked to, particularly leading up to NGF, said that that's part of what any of them would have looked at, and looking at your point of sale being part of your overall marketing plan too. So it's not just what books your tea times and gives reports to town hall, it's how does everything tie in together. So if they were gonna potentially recommend something else that we don't even know about, or maybe it turns out the Golf Now is the best, even warranting the cost, considering it a marketing cost. You know what I mean? So I think while we're in the middle of this year, let's just get through this year at the cheapest we can with them.
Right.
And then see where that plays out.
So I totally agree with you. So if in fact that recommendation that Dana presented was $1,000 a month, worst case situation, that if during contract negotiations, that's the best we can do, let's do it through the end of the year and see what.
Right, it would be $5,000-6,000, right, to get us from July through
So the
December.
worst case, that way we know we've got the phone still on and
People are booking.
everything's a go.
And I will, if I could speak to that just for a second, because we did have an issue the other day with the fact that the tea times weren't showing online, and it was getting down to crunch time for the weekend, and I went through, I don't know if you've ever done, they give you a case number. So I called like 5 times, I got 5 different case numbers, 5 different people working on this issue, nobody's doing jack. And finally I get the sales rep, she gives me a case number, and then 24 hours later, which is a day and a half away from the weekend, she goes, "You're up, everything's online." We filled those tea times within 1 day, the whole day was sold out.
Wow.
So there is a little bit of validity to the access to the golf market through them with that. I mean, I don't think I realized how fast it occurred, but that really opened my eyes to the golf market and how many people are using that app. So within 24 hours, you get a full tee sheet. That's a good $14,000 worth of sales.
So I'll make a motion to execute the contract with Golf Now through the end of the year. Per agreement with Jamie and you and Golf Now.
I'll second that.
Bob's like, all in favor?
Aye.
Maintenance Monday. Good topic. I know we had some tentative dates the last time we were talking, that if we were going to do this, or continue to do this, I should say.
You have the dates, 5 June, July 10, and July 24, August 7 and 21, and September 11 and 25.
6-5, what was the other one?
6/5, 7/10, 7/24.
6-5,
Yeah,
7,
then the,
August 7, August 21.
they're also included in the email that was the status update.
1, 2, 3.
9/11, 9/25.
And this, to refresh my memory, we open what, at 11 o'clock
11
on those
o'clock.
days?
And
Or
the
even 5
the T-box, just so you have a full picture of that, the T-box closes at 1:30 for leaks. So you'll operate for 2.5 hours that day before the leaks go out at 4 at.
You don't
3:30.
take anything after that for 9 holes before the leaves?
Yeah, you can have people come out for 9, but that's it. They can't make the turn.
Do we get any kind of advertisement that can happen?
You get a little bit of action on it, but not much. I mean, you get a few people, but most 9-holers are at the latter part of the day want that 4 o'clock time because that's when they get out of work. Not too many guys can get there for between 1:30 and
But if you
3:30.
do some kind of a little advertisement that says on the Mondays that are for,
Yeah, I mean,
that it's closed, that from 11 o'clock on,
sure,
we take
no, we
9
can create a
holes.
promotion. That's not a problem. I'm just not. I mean,
Because from 11 to 4, you can take 18.
11 to 1:30, you can take 18, and that you will fill it because the day fills.
So you can say from 1 o'clock on, we take 9s.
Yeah.
And put a sign up there so people can read it and see if they can take it. If you don't bring it to their eyes, they'll never do it.
No, I understand that, and my perspective and opinion stays the same. That it's essentially your decision, but I wouldn't give up the revenue personally. If I own the course, I wouldn't.
We cannot have revenue unless we have a good course.
That's correct.
And if that takes it, that would
I
help on the
I
other
would
side.
find a way to get it done somehow.
Well,
I don't have an answer for you right now of how that would be, but I would.
Well,
I do.
Search it out.
yeah,
Give me more money, give me more people. Let me
There you
pay $24 an hour and give me more money so I can spend it. But unless you give me the time with the staffing we have and the play that we have, I mean, how many other courses are pumping out 275 here, 300 there? You're just beating the snot out of your golf course, and I've got no time to get it to recover. You wonder why you have thin spots in your fairways? You wonder why, I mean, I'm out there, I started spraying Wednesday morning at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning after I got my guys out and after I got up. Both Kevin and I were on machines. We had people on the 6th hole at 10 o'clock and they started on the back. So, I mean, and there's the whole troop right behind them. That's 2 hours to play 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 holes.
we
2
should
hours,
get more
14
than
holes.
people.
Huh?
I was just gonna say, a pace of play is not a problem, folks.
Well, it is a problem because we
Well, it's
hear a lot
a
of
problem in
complaints that-
situations
Listen,
like
you're hearing it
that,
from him.
but as soon as pace of play first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
It's
but
not
once you get to a certain point, then everything else backs up. But I'm just saying, in order to get the things done, if you want your golf course to progress, if you want your golf course to keep up with the times, if you want your facilities and your greens and your tees to be able to be maintained, to keep up with what people are going to expect, you need to have the time. And if you don't have the time, you're not going to be able to do it. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know any magical people with magical wands.
And my position is that play is picked up to an extent, so it does encroach upon your ability to get things done. And I was a proponent of this from day one when I heard that we weren't getting time to top dress the greens. And that's a big, big mistake. So if in fact
And
play
it's-
continues to go
It's
as the
not only
way it's
top,
going,
it allows us to get spraying done. It would allow us to get venting of the greens done, especially in these times when we're sitting here in May, almost the end of May, beginning of June, and we're about 2 steps away from stage 1 drought in May. And we have June, July, and August to get through, and there's not much rain on the horizon. And I already burnt through 6 million gallons of water already. So, those, in order to get a wetting agent out, everybody, the water's on. Well, if you're gonna put a wetting agent out on a fairway, you gotta water it in. And if you're gonna water it in, you gotta do it for 6 to 10 minutes. And you're talking about 12, 13 stations of fairway, every one of them is 6 to 10 minutes. That takes a long time. So you're going to give somebody a shower unless you have time to do it. And with the 2 sprayers, I mean, I get out for a day and a half with 2 sprayers, and the damn motor in the right rear tire of the older sprayer goes. So now I'm back down to 1. And it's a good thing we got that one upgraded, because now we can use that one, because the Smithco's not going anywhere. It's going to take at least an entire day to take that wheel apart, pull those seals and bearings out, put the new ones back in, put the fluid back in, put the tire back in together, and see if it's not going to leak or not. So we need the time. I mean, if you want to have the status quo and not do anything except go out and mow grass and that's it, then don't do maintenance Mondays. But if you want to do the additional steps that are going to continue to bring your clientele in and continue to increase your revenue, then we have to make some accommodation somewhere along the line. Either that, or I have to jack a staff up to 15 people and have more full-time people, so we're there longer.
And with that being said, and if that's the decision, also understand that 6.5, 7.10, 7.24, 8.7, 8.21, 9.11, 9.25, you're not getting any revenue from 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock for all those tea times. So if you're gonna compare budgets and we're changing how the operation's gonna run, then that has to be considered.
Well, let me make a
and
suggestion
understood.
then. If you're starting at 8 o'clock, we're a municipal facility or a public golf course. You're starting at 8 o'clock. Start at 6:30. The other 4 days of the week, you make up an hour and a half of additional tee times. We used to start, I mean, when I first started working here 22 years ago, Jerry, God rest his soul, would come in the gate 15 minutes behind me, and we'd be sending people out at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, of course, they'd be right on my butt, so I had to start my guys at 5 o'clock and 4:30. But if we're losing that much revenue, and if it's a significant concern, I mean, I'll start my guys at 4:30 in the morning. We can start tee sheet at 6:30 in the morning.
Or we could do these
I
tasks.
think it's a good idea.
Or we could do these tasks at another time of day when there's already a gap that exists, that's open, like in between the leagues, the play and the leagues when we shut down from.
I'm not going to go out and top dress my greens when it's 90 degrees out and the sun's blaring and I got to drag it in. That's not the time to do that. Putting down a wetting agent in the heat is not the time to do it. You're going to get tip burn. You're going to cause damage to your turf. There are certain things you can do and certain things you can't do. The only other option to find yourself more time would become rolling in here at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night and start doing it in the dark. And if somebody wants that to be done, well, then we got a whole completely different bag of worms to talk about.
Well, I've spoken to several superintendents, and their regular day starts at 5:30, doing their tasks, and their maintenance Monday, they start at 7, they stop the tee sheet from 5:30 to 7:30, and they run their program every day that way.
Well, it all depends on who you talk to, because I could
Correct.
tell you just as many other people who are closed for the entire day. I'm not going to sit here and have a pissing contest
No, it's
about
not
what
a
another
contest.
superintendent does,
No.
what someone
It's-
else does.
Listen,
What I'm going to tell
I would
you
be
is this is
interested-
what we need to do. If
I
you
would be
don't want to do
interested-
it, then
I would
that's
be
fine.
interested
Right, so I'm
in
gonna-
finding out which municipal golf courses actually close down on Mondays for maintenance Mondays.
So here's,
That's what I would be interested in.
It doesn't make a difference if the rest of the world doesn't or does close down. This is Acushnet River Valley. This is what we need to do for Acushnet. If you think that we don't need to do it, then say so, then I will not do it, or will not request it, and it's the last time I'll talk about a maintenance Monday.
so I'm gonna say from my own perspective, and I admit I've gone back and forth on this. It's either money in lost revenue, or it's money in additional staff. In finding staff, retaining staff, getting the approval to pay what the rates could or should be at other places is proving more difficult than allowing the time. So I'm here to say that I think I've also changed my mind, that at least given the current level of staffing, availability of people, that I'm more on board than I would have been in the past. It kind of pains me to close the course right in the middle of summer, but again, it's either you spend the money in lost revenue, kind of like giving away tee times to golf now, or you spend the money in actual cash going out. So let's take advantage of the staff we do have and address the course, because it is getting beat, because it's a good problem in that people still continue to come here in high numbers, but we need to not let the course turn into a hayfield.
It's 7 days. 7 days.
I think if we don't do the maintenance, it's gonna cost us more in the long run
Right.
to rehabilitate the course.
In
When the
long-
things start
long
falling
run,
apart,
in the short
it's gonna
run.
cost us more, we're gonna lose more money on rebuilding
Repair
the
it.
course than we will by having a couple hours of lost tee times, in my opinion. I mean, and I'm not a golf player.
And we put
I'm just thinking
together,
of money wise.
Yeah,
we
no,
put together
understood.
a conservative plan. And as long as we look like we're at plan or ahead of plan, I don't see any issue with putting it back into the golf course with the maintenance.
Exactly. That's,
Well, let's do that. I mean, why don't
Listen,
we?
I'm fine with that. I just want to do my job and give my opinion as to my side of the operation and what my focal points are.
We
And that's-
appreciate
That's what I'm
your
sharing.
info.
If you guys want to do it, I'm just giving you my opinion.
I think
We'll
we're
do it.
just thinking about the cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of,
If you guys agree, I'm
we
in.
don't
No
have the
problem.
maintenance.
I just
Well,
don't
the
want
cost
you to
is the
think
long
that,
one
You know,
in the
product
end.
too.
that's fine. So be it. Maintenance Mondays on those dates, locked and loaded.
and you know, and if we think we have, or know we have people who are regular Monday customers, let's get it out to them somehow so they know in advance, because maybe they'd be more willing to either come a little bit later or come on Tuesday if they can,
Sure.
versus going somewhere else, right? Or even in the longer run, trying to book the tee time and somebody's looking out, if they know that these are the days that they
Yep,
can't
I'll
get to the
I'll
drive
post it on the
away.
website and I'll let them know. That's a good idea.
Steve, how many rain days were last year for maintenance Monday? Do you remember offhand?
At the end of the year, 3 out of the last 4 that we tried to have were rained out.
And didn't recover any extra time for yourself?
No, the only thing, I mean, if it rains on the day, we plan to spray a wetting agent, no big deal.
Yeah,
We don't have to water it in. You know, put your rain suit on, we go out and spray in the rain.
right.
So,
Save us money on water.
huh?
Save us water.
Yeah, there you go. But unfortunately, it rained on the days that we wanted to top dress and wanted, I mean, like June 5th. I mean, June 5th, right out of the gate, is going to be the start of tea aeration. And, you know, if I clip enough off in the beginning of the day, I can finish them the next day, and we're all done. But like the other day, we've overseeded 4 greens. And in order to aerate with a small tine to make the hole, and to seed it, then to top dress it, then to brush it, then to roll it, then to irrigate it, and you're talking an hour and a half to 2 hour process anyway. And in order, you know, and then try to do that in the midst of people, it just, it's not fair to them, and it just, you know, we can't get what we need to get done.
No, come back.
Yeah,
Go on.
and again, if we identify these days as maintenance money, and Steve, if you look at the 7-day weather forecast, it looks like there's something that would suggest it may not be a good day to do something.
Then cancel it a week ahead of time.
We can open, cancel it,
Yeah.
open it up.
Sounds good. All right. 3,400 triplex.
So I'll make that motion to implement maintenance money as recommended by Steve.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
It's now 3,400 triplex.
Well, if you, I received a updated price quote from Toro. Toro sends these out now 60 days before they expect delivery or have expect availability. I was told that this machine could be here as soon as the end of June. The total price was $72,124.11. I spoke with the folks from PNC, who we just completed the lease for the 3555 fairway mower, and I got dollar buyout values for 3 and 5 years, and I also have fair market value leases for 3 and 5 years. 36-month dollar buyout was $26,287. Excuse me, a 5-year or 60-month dollar buyout was an annual payment of $17,083. If you went with fair market value, 36-month lease was $20,116, and the 5-year lease at fair market value was $14,904. So you have basically 4 options, those just described, or purchasing outright.
So we went through the option just recently, right?
Yes, we
Came
did.
that it makes more sense to do a 5-year lease with a $1 buyout.
Okay. So that would be the $17,083 annual payment. And that payment would start 30 days after the initiation of the lease, and it would also include their $250 paperwork. If you look at that invoice that I provided there, it lists the $250 thing in there, so.
As far as a FY '24 budget, the $108,000 includes that potential lease.
Mhm.
I had it at $17,000, so it's covered.
So we do the 5-year dollar buyout then.
I will make that motion.
Just one question, just to see if this type of machine on average, how long do you think you would keep it for?
Well, this was a 3-wheel drive diesel. I would hope on average to be, at least to get 7-8 years out of it. I mean, again, most people are interested in turning their equipment over now every 5 years or every 3 to 5 years, just because of the change in technology and innovation. This is a 3-wheel drive machine. It's a diesel engine. That diesel engine should be good 8-9 years.
Okay.
We have,
I just wanted to make sure we weren't like leasing with the dollar buyout, a machine that's gonna be dead in 5 years.
no, one of the machines that we have right now that we use as a greens mower is a 23-year-old John Deere diesel. And knock on wood, we haven't ever had a problem with the
Keeps
engine.
going, huh?
It's other things have been the problem.
So we did our motion in a second, we didn't ask for a vote, so all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. The $300,000 article spending recommendations.
We still have about 170,000 of that 300,000 available, which includes the 27 for the National Golf Foundation. And the question is, can we put together a list of recommendations of what we should possibly do in the fall?
Parking lot, possibly.
Yeah,
It's
parking.
highly visible, customers see it, it's a good selling point.
I would focus on customer service, to your point. Can we ask that both of you put together a potential list?
Sure.
And kind of come forward with your combined recommendation as to how best to use it? We got to do
Yes.
the rest of 2.
I'd also like to throw out there the practice area that we've talked about. That would be great for customers, and we'd be one of the only golf courses around that have a practice area with a championship golf course.
Yeah, somewhere
And
if we could find a place to stick it, because people practice on the grass behind the tent. They practice,
Yeah, they practice everywhere.
If we could find
gold tees
some
on
way
one.
to,
Yes, I do.
So I mean, I don't know where we fit it in. I mean, I know we talked about this before, whether but I think Manny, you had mentioned looking at that, the driving range, and
Yeah, I would like to do that, and I think we should be looking at in conjunction with the clubhouse.
Well, is that kind of a whole big
The
plan,
whole-
especially if
I
something's
think
under-
that would be a whole big plan.
Yeah, that would be, because then we're gonna disturb a lot of things, is the time to put it together.
Right, because just, as an example, just one thing we've said in the past, just say a clubhouse goes over the 18th green and the putting green's gonna be disturbed, and you're relocating that at the time, but then look at how is everything else laid out around that as well.
So we should put that together with the thing, and we should move on, start thinking about the clubhouse.
Well, the one thing you could do with part of those funds is to get initiate a a lack of a better word, a mini master plan for that a mini or a concept plan for that area up around the clubhouse and stuff, so you can start moving. I talked with Tim. Tim said he'd be more than happy to work with on the parking lot.
Would you talk to him?
Tim Garish. Ed asked me to contact him. I have his price rates and or his rates, and I also have his tree list, preferred tree list that most of them use now for golf courses. So, but yeah, I think the parking lot's just a large
An
eyesore that
eyesore,
needs to be.
It would be
fixed.
nice to clean up, definitely.
And we lose
A lot of parking.
we lose a lot of parking with those detention basins, and Dan has already looked at them, and he said you really don't need the detention basin, you need a drainage system that can, that will do the same thing. It will dump into into that large detention
On
basin.
that parking lot also, we were looking at it, and I looked one day, and I think if we get rid of those grass areas in between the
Yeah.
things, we can gain another lane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You figure you
You're
get rid of the
gain more
drain,
parking.
Yes.
you get rid of the drain and
Yeah.
the lane, you can add, what, 30%
I think
more
we should
space
move on that too. I mean, if we got enough.
Because you
money
got
to go.
cars parking down the side now.
regularly.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Yeah, down the
The
side,
other
down to
day,
maintenance building, down by
Sunday
the pump.
was
It
absolutely
Yeah, I know.
bonkers. We did a front and back start. By 7 o'clock, I had everybody billed out, and they were lined up on the tee boxes, and the cars were parked in Steve's parking lot and up the street. And when Kev was leaving, he's like, "Good riddance, good luck, I'm out of here." Look
That
at
ties
all
into
these
what we-
people getting up this early.
That ties into what we said before
Packed.
about potentially keeping the carts out of all this traffic too. 'Cause even the last time I was there, a cart almost hit a person, and then I saw a car backing out that almost hit a cart.
Right.
So I witnessed 2 near misses in the minute and a half it took me to walk across the parking lot a week or so ago. So that all kind of needs to be tied together to contain these carts and not be in that. So if they're doing paving and pulling out grass and whatever.
Well, the other
that's
thing too,
time
if you
to
take
do.
out those islands and you increase your parking, you also increase the possibility that something could, something.
Well,
could-
at some
Right, so
point,
look at
we
containment
just
of
shut it
somehow, whether
down.
it's fencing, boulders, planter boxes,
Right.
anything that will let your equipment through, but somehow keep the carts from escaping out into the.
Well, there's several ideas that can come up
Right.
with that. And one of the important things is trying to get the people to realize that we have a bag drop, and there's, come up. I mean, I've seen a lot
of
more people
older
use
guys
it
will do
lately.
it, yeah.
They come up, they drop their bag off. It's a
Right,
bag drop.
right.
And
Young
they
guys.
park. The young guy, they just. I mean, I don't understand the guy who parks down by my building, walks all the way up to get a cart, and then drives all the way back down to get the bag.
Does,
I mean,
yep.
drop the bag off. You only have to walk one direction.
All the time.
You're right.
But the hidden part of that is
And the
like,
smarter
how
young
do I put
guys,
my
they
beers in
drive
the
up
cart?
and the guy drops off his partner to go in and pay. He goes
He
and
gets
parks
the
way
car,
out in the
yeah.
boondocks, then he gets the car and
And
goes
he
pick up
drives
his
out.
buddy in the clubs, driving through the parking lot.
Yeah, they've
Yeah, well,
mastered
It's
that.
really just coming up with a plan, so we're not thinking last minute, get it going, so when it falls here, we
Right.
can spend this on something.
So I'd like to make a motion that Steve and Dana present a combined list of spending possibilities for the 150,000 or so, and present it as a group, as an agreed upon priority of items for us to review.
We have another town meeting this fall, right? And I remember,
Probably. Yeah,
Probably.
Right.
so when
September,
we
right?
discussed this previous town
Oh, I
meeting, we
think the
decided that
tickets
it was
usually in October,
not
isn't it?
a
Right.
necessity to put an article in for this town meeting. So the next one coming up, I think would behoove us to consider that as well.
But again, if we put together a list and the money is exhausted, you're right, we should be looking at going back again to keep the process. Again, if the revenues is up and things are going, we just got to keep this thing going.
All right. Father's Day start
I'm
time.
making that motion.
No, I'm sorry, we didn't vote on that yet. Ed made that motion. I think I heard Manny seconded it.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Father's Day. It's usually a busy day, right?
What time, Dana, do we usually start this? 6:30? 6.
We started at
5:30.
didn't we? Yeah.
Okay,
Last year, we voted to recommend 5:30.
that's fine.
That's June 8th.
And that went pretty well?
We're trying to start in the dark.
Yeah,
That went okay?
sure.
Yeah.
We've gone as early as 5:15, but 5:30 was the compromise. Whatever you guys want
Quarter
to do,
to
that's
5,
fine.
man, it's still,
I know, the guys are there. They'll be there at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm telling
You
you.
just gotta hold them back. Tell them it's a frost day.
Yeah, June 18th.
oh, just put the signs up, well, they don't read them anyway.
No, they don't.
Forget that idea.
So we're gonna start at
There's a
5:30.
loose bear and.
Well, there was. I mean, Conrad had a bear. The bear was in his backyard. He was over here in Acushnet.
You were at Power
You got-
Rapids yesterday.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, Norm got a picture of it in front of the restaurant.
Really? Yeah.
So, June 18th.
You gotta be careful with the
There's
beer
more
on
than
your,
one. It is-
on the golf course.
Because someone told me they saw, that there was a time thing where 4 of them were in Massachusetts at the same.
That's what they say. They're trying to say it's the same bloody bear. I mean,
It is.
that'd
There's
be
no
the
way.
Olympic bear.
Yeah, no
30
kidding.
miles this way, 30 miles that
30,
way.
yeah, it started up, where, towards 495 or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't think it,
No.
There's a couple, there's a few
it's
around.
gotta be, yeah.
All right, so
That's
5:30 on Father's Day. Fairway seating conversion.
The mill, they won't let those females by themselves.
No.
There gotta be a mill around somewhere. Okay, fairway seating.
Fairway seating.
Well, that I didn't put that on the agenda.
I did.
Well, what
Because
is it in
we-
terms of seating conversion? What is it that you would?
Well, with the drought situation last fall, we overseeded,
Yes.
but I don't believe it's something that would be a permanent fixture. Is it?
Well, you're gonna.
Is it a low?
One of the problems with excessive wear and compaction, what have you, is that you're going to have to come up with some alternative methods to address that. And seeding is one, and overseeding, particularly in problem spots, is going to help significantly. I'm not a big fan of L93. We have L93 on our greens, we have it on our tees, we have it on our fairways. L93 is a southern grass. It doesn't like cold weather. It's slow coming out of dormancy, and it's, for lack of a better word, not a strong turf. And we've started looking at making some seeding conversions on greens, and I think we need to keep up the overseeding on the fairways. The question is whether or not we want to stick with bent grass type of seed, or whether we want to interseed with a bluegrass and a ryegrass, which you could do. I mean, you'll get a patchy look. It will be less thatchy, but it all depends on the direction we want to take. I've been talking with the seed reps that I have now, and we're actually I'm meeting with one next Tuesday, and we're going to go out and take a look at some of the overseeding that we've been able to do. I mean, the overseeding came in well, except you can see the slits where the grass is coming up fine, the slits, but you have those spots in between where it's been so dry and it's so compact that you'd have to slice seed in about 5 different directions to get it to completely fill in. So
That seed won't germinate.
it'll spread. It just hasn't had a chance to yet, because it was we did it at the end of the year last year, and then we come out at the beginning of this year and it's
Still dry.
cold and it's dry and it's
So when you put down that seed with the seed slicer, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, those rails there, they'll combine. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, they send rhizomes and stolons out, so they'll send tillering out on the surface or below the surface, and then those tillers will shoot and turn up.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's just a question
I
of
just always
getting it
curious,
to be
it's
able
all-
to do it.
It only shows up in.
The
Right.
problem, if you use a ryegrass doesn't tiller, so it's a clump grass, so it grows in clumps.
Oh, okay.
That's why a lot of times you'll see, those people who have ryegrass tees and fairways, they're always overseeding, because you need to do that to keep it
Yeah.
full. I was looking at either an older colonial bent with some fescues and some somewhat more drought tolerant, but also stress tolerant, wear and tear tolerant. And they've got quite a different variety of seed. But to answer your question, we should continue to overseed. There's some fairways here that need it. There's some fairways that don't. Some that are because of the design of the hole don't concentrate traffic, so we don't have that wear issue. And again, in some of the heat, no matter what your best efforts are, you're going to lose some grass in the heat in some instances, and that's just the way it goes. So I would continue to seed, which we try to do every year. We try to, especially on the tees. We have tees on the 4th hole, on the 7th hole. And speaking about projects, we have a significant number of tees are just simply too small, especially for
I know that.
our white play, our white
Yeah,
tee
For the
hitters
amount
to
of
play
play
off
we
of.
get,
They're just,
Par threes.
the par
Beat
threes
the-
are taking a beating.
and you can't. I mean, you fill divots, and then it just gets beat up and beat up and beat up.
How long does a divot take to recover?
Well, divot will take anywhere from, seed's going to germinate 7 to 10 days, depending on what you put down there.
Right.
And it's going to take probably another 2 weeks for it to fill in significantly. But, what you got to remember, too, is, you've got mowers going over top of it.
You got play.
You've got play going over
Over
top of
200
it.
rounds a day, ripping it up. So no matter where he puts it, it'll never come up in time.
I think
grow,
somewhere in
to
the
fill in.
future, those par threes need to have.
Well, not only the par 3, look at the white tee on the 5th hole.
Yeah.
You have that little tee that's about twice the size of this table.
Right.
And behind it, you have that blue tee, which is 3 times the size of the white tee, but 70 or 65% of our players play from the white tees.
Mhm.
And they have a fit when I move the white tee back to the blue
Oh,
one
yeah.
because it's too far.
Thank
So,
you.
you can only use the front of it. Same thing on 7. 7, you got a little
Yeah.
tee about 2/3 the size of this table, which you just can't grow grass in the middle of that tee. Because nobody wants to hit from the left or the right because they don't want to go to the woods on either side. So no matter how you set the tee blocks up, they're always teeing up in the middle.
Mhm.
So I said, okay,
Right.
well, let's
And
use,
especially without
we have that nice big black tee in the back that nobody uses. So I put the blue ones back there, move the white ones over the blue tee. I get strung up and shot because now it changes the hole completely, which is nice. But I thought it'd be
Maybe
interesting.
on outing days we put the white tees on those holes that have small tee boxes. We put them on the blue tees so that we make the outings play.
Well, the
white
outings,
tees on those.
the outings. I don't know if it's so much the outings or just to continue. The
No, I know,
high
but just to
volume
assist
play.
the process of healing, take the outing, move the white tee to the bigger tee box, so that at least those 144 guys rip up that box and gives a little extra chance to heal.
Yeah, but as far as the seating is considered, you have 2 choices. You can try a wholesale conversion, which basically means nuking your fairway, and by that I mean killing the existing grass, scalping it down, aerating it in 2 or 3 directions, and then slice seeding and broadcast seeding over top of it, fertilizing it and watering it. It's a good process. It works well, but it's a process that takes some time, and it needs to have people stay off it. Well, what we can continue to do is try to continue to slice seed into these areas and hit them a couple times a year. That's why we're looking at some additional seeding equipment as well in order to break that. There's just certain portions in the rough that I can't get. The machines that I have, I can't break the compaction. They have a machine called an earthquake, which Wiederman makes it now that we're looking at. That'll go down 6 or 7, 8 inches, but it's the reason they call it an earthquake, or used to call it the earthquake, is because it goes down and it vibrates the ground and breaks the compaction up. But it's a pretty.
Here, you
beefy
can't go
machine.
that far down because it's all rock down there.
No, you can't. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing we had. We had a guy come by. We had a guy yesterday from Wiedemann here, a salesman, demoing a Frasier mower, and I said, well, I can't really use that. And he said, why not? I said, because I go out with my 7th fairway with a Frasier mower, and all I'm going to do is bring up rocks. 3 or 4 inches down, it's all gravel.
Artificial turf on
The other thing that would help with the fairways, which is something to consider in the future, is a fairway top dressing program. Top dressing and a brushing program. It's a lot of money. I mean, you're looking at spending about $40,000 to $50,000 a year on top dressing, but you also have to have a machine to put it out there. But you start to if you have no soil, you have to, or soil content, you have to start to build it. And that's the only way you can really build it. It improves your drainage. It'll improve it'll improve the play of your fairways. It'll firm them up a little bit without making them compact.
We've done some of that on 9 quite a while ago.
Yeah, I did. I've done some, and we had problems in some of the approaches,
9 and 10,
turning
and-
spots, and I've top dressed some of those and bought them back. We just don't have the budget to be able to do that right now, but that would be something to consider in the future. That, along with the overseeding, would help quite a bit. And the other thing too is, nobody likes to hear it, but we have 30 acres of fairways, and maybe in certain circumstances, shrinking some of the fairways, allowing that what is now fairway grass to grow to rough height grass. I remember when Mark Mungen was here walking around, he was just saying, he was going off on, push this one, squeeze it this. I mean, it's just,
He put together a proposal to cut the 30 acres down to 25 or something.
Yeah.
I think we should do it.
We're supposed to have done that. We talked about that
Yeah, right.
a while back.
Now, you marked out 9.
I did 9 and 10. I mean, 10 we only took about 3,000 square feet of on the right-hand side down below. I mean, I thought that was the only real place that it needed it. But 9 we took, the other day, sprayed 115,000 square feet. You took approximately 35,000 square feet off of that fairway by bringing the edges in a little bit and bringing the base up a little.
So have you implemented that?
Yeah, that's already been done. Yeah. It's been marked out and it's been cut. You can see where it's starting to fill in. And one of the areas pinched in a little bit more is on the right-hand side where that forward tee is, because that's one of the, speaking of the list, that's one of the things I'd like to do this fall, is to tear that apart and redo it so it's bigger and it stretches further. It's just we just made it too small.
Those would be one of the items for you guys to put on the list.
Yeah.
So can you put together a plan to convert the L93 to a low mow bluegrass over time, which would be reseeding it?
Looking to do the entire course or just trouble spots?
No, work our way right through the
Right
whole
through.
thing.
Yeah.
It may be a 2-year program, and maybe.
I think that program would go hand in hand with the recontouring, because in order, once you shrink, because the thing that you're going to notice in some of these areas where you've shrunk the bent grass down, the bent grass is going to get healthier because you're not cutting it so low. And what happens to bent grass, once it gets around 2 inches, it gets puffy, and the ball sits down in it, and people don't like to play out of it. So
Foot wedge.
huh?
Yeah.
Foot
Yeah.
wedge.
So once you do that contouring, then you can,
Yeah,
then
it does sit down.
you can
Yeah.
spray the bent grass out, and you can seed in something else, seed in the bluegrass.
Right.
So summer drought plan. Hopefully it's not as dry as last summer, but
Well, we're not going in the
The
right direction.
forecast I see is that it's gonna be more of the same type of thing.
Well, I've put together a wetting agent soil nutrient program for fairways. I'm waiting for the new budget year to implement it, but we're looking at, fairway wetting agent program, 3 applications is about $16,000. That would be an application, second or so week of June, second or so week of July, second or so week of August, depending on weather and what have you. Right now, actually, when Greg comes on Tuesday, we're going to look at the first app for June, probably the second week. But that's, And those monies would have to come out of either the fertility budget or the pesticide budget, or a combination thereof. And you saw at the end of the year last year what we did, what we had to do compensate money-wise for those applications that we did at the end of the year. We start early. I mean, you're still going to have some hot spots. You're still going to have some rough spots. But if we get those programs down and get healthier fairways, at least from a water standpoint, I think we'll be better off than we were last year. But
But I think we should also try to put a plan we don't meet, but monthly, a plan where we do 90-degree cart rules, cart path only, whatever. What is the process as it gets drier and drier?
Yeah, no, I don't, I don't have a problem with last year, how we did that, when we hit that hot spot. Customers, it was well received, they understood, so
Right.
it's definitely a course of action that we should follow.
Did the players know what a 90-degree means?
We have a sign, but no, it's,
We need to teach them. We need
yeah,
to teach
you
them.
could go out there with a protractor and try.
it's the thing about 90 degrees that most people don't understand is it's not drive down the rough and then till you get to your ball and drive out to your ball. 90 degrees is driving on the cart path until you come to where your ball is. You drive across to your ball, play your ball, then you drive back to the cart path. That's the part that most people don't understand, because they think
They'll
they
make that one move 90 degrees.
Yes,
And then
they
they'll
did 190.
continue it down the fairway.
Correct.
Yeah, so
yeah.
it is kind of hard. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd really, like David said, you'd have to have a class, put up
Yeah,
a
well, you're
projector,
right,
you know.
you're right.
We do have
little
sign
sign on
we
the
do.
first of the hole.
We have.
And you draw a ball in the cap and make a line. This is 90 degrees.
Man, you could.
Go and return.
Yeah. Man, you could put one of those bulletin boards on freaking Route 195. They wouldn't even know what that is.
You gotta get the little things in the cart
Yeah.
with the screen, but, no, we should have, once conditions get to a certain
Do
point,
we need to implement 90-degree?
yeah, I mean, you,
As of July 1 or?
well, you're gonna have to, the thing that's going to dictate that is soil moisture. And you can tell, I mean, for me, I can just tell by the way the turf's responding, whether it's dry, you look at these days, right now, it's comfortable for you and I, but there's no humidity.
Right.
The dew points are very low, there's no moisture.
Right.
Anytime the wind blows, moisture just being pulled right out of the ground.
Yeah, we're not squeegeeing cots in the morning. You come in, they're dry. You start up and go.
So, you're starting to think now, now if this weather keeps up for another week or two, then I'm going to say, okay, well, I've got to start, I've already done the wetting agents on the greens once, I've got to start doing the tees and the fairways. Or else you get behind the 8-ball, then it takes a lot more to try to catch up. You need to it's preventative more than curative.
Right, and I think.
Whatever, don't stop watering.
Yeah, and we need to implement a 90-degree rule, we need to implement.
But that could, that could be part of the plan.
Right.
And so on. Either that or buy hover carts and it'd be all set then.
Walking only.
Lighting schedule.
Right. Seems about 70% of our customers use carts.
Yeah. The other thing
Big number.
that I don't know how you do it, but because of COVID, so many people out there decided to continue the idea of taking their own cart. We have groups that 4 carts in one group because guys don't, one guy will take one cart, one guy takes another cart. In times of
I
heat,
noticed that.
okay, when it's real cool and we don't have a big deal, okay, not a big deal. But when it gets hot in the summer, it'd be a good idea to have them,
Double
pair
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't encourage the double up.
We do.
But some
You try to,
you
but-
try to, but you can't really beat the guy with.
I don't think you can tell them they can't, right?
Why not?
Can
We try to double them up,
We
but
have a
if,
single chart, up chart, right?
if you have but not many guys. If you have a twosome and you have 2 singles, the 2 singles will grab a cot, and then they go down to the starter, and starter's he's running around checking in, checking off people, checking people starting, picking the range, so you miss some people here and there. And then they go out and play, and they use their carts. And we did it the other day, I was on there, I saw just what you were saying, 3 carts going up to 7th tee, and I was talking to the starter, I'm like, hey, do me a favor, tell those guys, when they come around to 9, drop off a cart, jump in, and then they can hit the 10th hole to, pay it up.
Well, the other thing it does to us sometimes too is if we're
You
real
run out of
busy,
carts.
run out of
That's what I
carts.
was telling them, like, anywhere you see that we're gonna need these carts, because we're jamming in the next 2 hours. Every cart out there, we're gonna need to put out, because the place is gonna be full. So, I mean, we try to in most cases, but some people it squeak through.
Well, the starters would be able to see it,
Yes,
so that should be.
but what I just said is sometimes they leave their station, whether it's to go fill the range machine, get tokens, pick the range. So they're, it happens.
People sit through the cracks.
Outing schedule? That's just so we know what the outing schedule is.
I put this on as a concern that Steve has indicated in the past that we seem to have situations where 2 or 3 outings over a weekend takes place,
Mm-hmm.
and that it does not, again, gets back to the maintenance of the golf course and being able to prepare it properly for play. The question is whether we should be reviewing and limiting the number of outings per week, either 1 per week or 2 per week, or somehow review what needs to be done to make sure that the golf course can get maintained.
The ones that
Properly.
are sticklers are you have one Friday and you have one Monday, and they're early in the day. The 1 o'clock shotguns, don't really hamper our operation. It's just like on the weekends we just have to start off at 2 different tees. We start off at 1 and 10 at 6 o'clock. So my guys start at 4:30, and we change the cutting directions and cutting sequence so we can stay ahead of play. But the ones that, if you,
Acushnet Police, June 19th, Team Noah, 26th, Monday. They've been on Monday for every year I've been here.
But it's they go in the morning or
They go in the
afternoon?
morning because we have the leagues in the evening, so they have to go in the morning. Typically, if we have a fire department, they'll do it in the morning because they have 2 days on, 5 days off. So they'll pick a weekday because they can get the majority of their people there on a weekday, and they don't have to do the 1 o'clock weekend shotgun. Typically, they do usually a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, midweek. But we always have the Acushnet PD on a Monday. Always have Team Noah following them on the Monday after Father's Day. But
Monday after Father's Day, Acushnet Police, right?
yes,
yeah,
And-
that's June.
that's been that way since before I was
Day
here.
1, yeah.
Yeah, they're June 9th. They're the day after Father's Day.
But I mean, everything that's in yellow is an outing in June. June is the high demand month of all months for outings. We start up in May with Old Colony starts it up, and we have a few more in May, but not too many. And then June, it sets in, and then as you see, July has less yellow because it gets hot. So you have people that are less interested in playing in 90 degrees. And then August, again, it gets even less. And then, I thought I brought September,
Does it pick up in September?
but September picks up.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody tries to get them before they go back to school.
Yeah, right.
Oh, here it is. And then September, mostly on Saturdays in September. So June is really the big one. That's where everybody wants to play. And typically, it's everybody that played last year and the year before and the year before when they play, they book for the next year. So
There was one time, and I'll bring this up,
You wanna have a lottery for outings?
No, we were starving for outings.
Yes, hey, you're not telling me,
We
I don't
were
know.
starving.
We take anything.
So, you know what? They are what they are. Do you want to throw those out? Do you want to do something?
It's not so much throwing them out, it's just maybe, adjusting the time, like, with, you've got leagues
I
in the
think your license
afternoon.
plate's
so-
already been recorded by the Acushnet police, cause they got sprayed the other day.
Well, that's because,
You
you know why the
can be
Acushnet police got sprayed?
responsible. You can be
Acushnet police got
responsible.
sprayed because the first tee time was supposed to be 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
and the Acushnet police left at 7:45 off the 10th tee. So
Oh.
that's why they
That
got
was when you
wet.
get a badge.
You know?
And a gun.
And if they didn't leave, if they went off at 8 o'clock, they wouldn't have got hit, but they went off early, so.
You know, the thing is that, you want to try to change the days or the times on some of these.
And it's
Well, your
It's-
standard outings that you've had
It's
forever.
either you have them or you don't have them.
Well, the times on most of these, you can do it with new ones, but the times where these people have been here year after year after year,
Kathy's not changing that date.
you can't change the
Well,
time.
That's
Can't
the
change
point.
the date.
A new one, we should make
Yeah,
sure,
a new one, yeah.
make sure it fits within the bounds of what,
Make them go during a week, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's,
Monday used to be a popular day.
It used to
Monday
be, but I don't have that many on Mondays anymore. It's just June.
It
That
seems like Fridays and the weekends,
Fridays
I
are
mean,
picked
the
up,
Saturday
Saturdays and
weekend.
Sundays are booked. Saturday, everybody wants because they want to rest on Sunday before they go back to work.
You have, in June, you have the 10th, the 17th, and the
You want to cure
24th.
the
Bobby,
All of
when's
them
yours?
are 1 o'clock
17th?
shotgun.
When's Lions?
That's coming up.
17th.
Acushnet Lions is the
Yeah.
10th of June.
10th. June 10th. You better put that in the calendar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first one, and then right after, the 17th is the 1 o'clock, it's the next Saturday, and then the 24th is another one on Saturday. Which I said, I mean, the Saturdays, it's 1 in 10 tea time, so we can get as many people in before the outing goes out. So we start
6 a.m.
earlier, and we
You're right.
we split up our cutting so we can stay ahead. I mean, I got guys that come at 4 o'clock and just go.
Is the planning board meeting tonight?
Excuse me?
Planning board meeting tonight?
I don't know if it is after us.
I don't know.
This is the golf committee.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be in the down the
6
hall
o'clock.
schedule. So.
We're down to the next meeting anyway, so.
Yeah, next meeting.
so we're gonna review new outings
Yeah.
to make sure.
Let's try to have them back up against our existing long-standing ones.
You looking for planning?
Yeah.
6:30.
I mean, that's, on Mondays,
So you want me to just not do Mondays on new outings? Not do Mondays on new outings? Nobody gets Monday outside of the people that we have? Is that?
Well, no,
that's what you
what we
said,
can,
right?
what we can look at, the thing that is a problem is we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Right.
So if we can steer away from having Friday and Monday on the same
Right.
weekend,
Cut days.
that would make it a difference. Or if, again, 9 o'clock in the morning, if I keep that other 5210, I can push it out there and maybe get 3/4 of the fairways cut. I just like to get things cut and get out of the way before the outing starts. And of course, you have the outing people, when they come out, you can't really cut, they want to put their tee signs up and they can stick them in the tee, so you got to pull it out to cut it.
Dana,
and stick
how
it
many
back in.
morning meetings, how many morning outings are there? Just rough idea. Most of them in the afternoon, right?
Well, the Saturdays are.
Yes.
Yeah, all the weekend ones are all mandatory 1 o'clock.
Afternoon.
Yeah.
So we don't have too many AM.
Just on the
Mon-
June 12th, 19th, and 26th.
Six, those are all.
And the
early.
12th was a tea time, so that.
And the 21st, but that's the New Bedford Fire.
Right, yes, Wednesday.
All right.
But that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday was that week of June. It's the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. That's the only
Yeah.
instance that I see that is that situation.
Well, we had one this month, but they canceled tomorrow, right?
Yes, yeah,
Because we had that one, and then
correct.
that couples with the Memorial Day holiday, so we don't cut everything on Memorial Day because we get in the way. So we come in and do our normal weekend routine on Memorial Day, so we can get people out and we're not holding up, play.
Interesting.
But that's what, I mean, that's, when it's a Monday and a Friday, the Fridays, again, we only have, we have 1 week in the afternoon, but we don't,
Yes.
actually, most of them are Mondays, so. Just those 4 days in a row. I mean, like this week, we changed the cutting schedule, then the outing canceled, so we switched it back. But
There's some-
So I will try and pay closer attention when booking outings, looking at my schedule to see if they're looking at a Monday, to see if there's a Friday prior to, if there's an outing. If not, I won't do it. I'll push them to another day.
And I wouldn't,
I don't have a problem with
and
that.
I
That's
wouldn't
easy enough
think,
to do.
the standard outings that have been here forever, I think we work around those. We don't work,
Well, I think we should.
the newer outings, the newer outings, we have to consider the people who have supported you
Right.
and so on, and we have the newer outings, work around the established ones.
Before you close the meeting, I do have two applicants that I'd like to submit. Matthew Moniz, a young man for Bag Boy, Acushnet resident, and then this college student, Matthew Cadu, from Fairhaven. He's applying for a pro shop shift, and he'll be available instantly. So I would like to get him on board as soon as possible, and I'd like to get the other gentleman on board, just so I can get him trained and get ready for summertime. As these kids, they go on a lot of family vacations, so and we stated we wanted additional services during weekdays and whatnot. So I'm trying to get a few more bodies on staff.
Good idea.
I've got 2 that I'll email to you, Ed. They're both Acushnet residents.
That's good.
The next,
15,
the
20.
June 4th,
I'm taking
the June 4th selectmen's meeting agenda is closed.
It's closed.
So the next one, I got us on the agenda for June 20th for the mower. So we'll add the new hires on
Yeah.
that list.
I got,
Do you want us there? Do I need to be there to present those people, or are they able to be presented by Jamie?
I don't,
All right. Oh, and before we,
I like that.
yes, this is our 25th year, 25-year anniversary. So I had some apparel made up. Actually, you guys can pass around the hat and look at the logo, but it's basically identical to that logo.
I like that.
So in celebration of that, we're offering these out in the pro shop. If anybody in the town of Acushnet or any patrons want to purchase them, they are available in the shop
Different than our
in
own.
multiple colors.
How much are they?
The hats are 25 and t-shirts
Yeah,
are
because
35.
it's 25 with the,
It's the same logo as that.
Put the Native American hat in there.
Yeah.
Hey, you're discriminating with the Indian over there. See?
That's an Italian guy. That's an Italian guy with a feather in his hat.
Don't.
I like that. I like this.
They came out sharp. They
I like the
look
patch
good.
better than, yeah.
And then the front of the t-shirt has the little emblem on the left chest.
Okay, so it's the back.
Oh,
Yes.
that's neat. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Coming
nice.
and going, advertising.
That's nice looking.
I'll be in the Bible.
What do they have?
Yeah.
All right, so we have,
motion to approve new hires.
sure.
Sure. Yes,
All in favor?
second.
Aye.
Aye.
That was the-
Next meeting.
So probably June 8, 15, and 20, so probably either the 15th or the 22nd.
15 or the 26th.
15?
It's fine.
Actually, yeah, 15 would actually be better than the 22nd for me.
15.
Which one you rather have?
15 is better for me. I mean,
Okay.
they're both fine, but 15 is better.
15?
I like 15, gives us a little time to react if we have to.
Yeah, we need to look at the budget, make sure the transfer,
Yeah, true.
all that good stuff.
Okay, so June
4:30.
15th. Yep.
June
4:30.
15th.
June 15th, 4:30.
Hey, you need a ride home?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, no, you're
I
not.
need a motion to adjourn.
Yeah. So move.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're
Thank you.
supposed to do that.